Hello, my name's Jane Kelly, and my what I've been investigating is forced adoption and the child trafficking that's going on through voluntary and the regional adoption agencies. I have found out that Sandip Mahajan is our senior regional governance officer. Sandip Mahajan is a multi-billionaire. He is director of 36 global companies, including Steinhoff. Steinhoff Furniture is, it's the second largest now global manufacturer and mover of furniture all over the world. He is a finance officer. Logistics is his forte. He's our head of our regional adoption agency, Coast to Coast, which was set up last year. The regional adoption agencies have been set up over the last 10 years, ours being the last one to be set up. The other senior regional governance officers sent by the government are all connected to the agenda of depopulation. You can have a look at them. If you look on VAA, RAA, and put in councils and minutes, you'll find the minutes for the setting up of the adoption agencies. Under the adoption agencies, the regional adoption agencies are voluntary adoption agencies. These are the ones that have got privatised social workers working for them, and they move from one to the other. They're set up as project managers and use social workers under them, and they are used by various hospitals. These are abroad and here: hospitals, private hospitals, research centres, anybody who wants a child or a baby. Forced adoption is the way they're taking children. They're taking children under the and for any reason whatsoever. It's called a Children in Need Section 20, and they're meant to help families, but they're not helping them at all. They're lying in court. They're making them do lots of different tests and psychological assessments, and then they're coming back corrupt. Let me just think what I'm. That forced adoption. Yeah, so they're taking children at birth under the guise of risk of future emotional harm. Anybody that's on their books, anybody that's been to a domestic abuse clinic in the past or had any involvement at all with social services, anybody who goes to the police reporting domestic abuse, that's what happened in our case, when our grandchildren were taken, they will just take them with lies. Our social worker was the first one I investigated. He was called Christopher Tasker. He's now been sacked, been struck off the register, not because of my report, which they ignored, because I found out he was running paedophile rings all through his career. Hartstein Trust was one of his companies, and that was on the news. And then a psychiatrist and a newspaper, a journalist, got in touch with me when they saw a post I put on about Mr. Tasker taking our children, and they confirmed the fact that he was a child trafficker, and he was trafficking children to London, to the elite paedophile rings in London. And then I investigated another social worker that I found here in Cumbria working for a voluntary adoption agency called Caritas Care Limited, and he was also working for Sidra Research Hospital, that's SIDRA, run by Lord Darcy in Qatar and built by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation money, and they specialise in genomics, and they were trafficking our babies through caravan parks on the outskirts of poverty-stricken areas, often seaside resorts like Morecambe, Widnes, Barrow in Furness, South Shields, all over the north of England. They're using the same, in Barrow in Furness, they were using the same caravan site that the grooming gangs, the taxi and private hire groups, they use those same caravan sites for trafficking the teenage girls. So the taxis are being used for both the infants, the babies, and the teenage girls. That's why they're not touching the grooming gangs. They're part of the whole agenda of depopulation. Yeah, there's literally, well, one child every 20 minutes they're estimating is being taken for forced adoption. There's 230,000 children last year went missing. That's 2020. When Tony Blair set this up in 2008, he's been interviewed on the television talking about it, saying that these children need to be found at birth or pre-birth because they cost a lot of money in later life through the judicial system, and they're delinquents by the time they're teenagers. These are his words, not mine. So they did a white paper called Adoption Vision for Change, making adoption easier and quicker and less visible, less transparent. There's no guardianship now, so that nobody, after they've gone out of county, nobody is looking to see where these children are going. This is depopulation. This is agenda, eugenics, and they're using social workers. I believe that they knew that this was coming, the pandemic, because they wanted every single regional adoption agency to be set up by 2020. And last year, it doubled the amount of children that disappeared from care of all ages. But babies and infants has quadrupled in the last year. I've been taken down off Facebook because I know too much. I've been investigating many social workers coming in from Africa, from African states, South Africa, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and I think that's why Black Lives Matter, because they're using these social workers to traffic children. I found one recently that's openly stating that she's a truck driver as well as a social worker from South Africa. So I think that's about all I want to say. They're blocking us. There's a D notice on the journalists, on mainstream media, and on alternative media. I know that Brian Garish at UK Column News knows exactly what's happening, but he's not talking about it. They're going to be shut down if they do, and worse probably. I told my MP, and he's not speaking. I went to their church and asked to speak to him with the elders. They refused to let me speak to him with the elders. I went to the police when I first found out, it was happening in Cumbria, and the involvement with the council in Barrow, and the police in Barrow, and the troop grooming gangs in Barrow, and these social workers that are coming undercover in voluntary adoption agencies. And there's nothing we can do about it. And as I've said, I've been shut down on Facebook now as well. Don't know where we go from here, to be honest with you. This is genocide. We are living in a country that is at war with the working class, and it is a secret war. It's a war that people don't know about, and we need to get it out there. So thank you for watching, and I hope this gets out.